Long forgotten, your communication skills are tested each day by family members, friends, and colleagues at work. In this program, you'll have a chance to assess how well you communicate, and you'll learn some practical skills to be a better communicator. We've selected the workplace as the setting for these skills, but you'll find they apply in all areas of your life. When you think about it, all organizations are made up of teams, and one of the essential components of great teamwork is healthy communication. Effective communication skills at work reduce unnecessary friction. They help people cope with stress, and they help create an environment in which each of us can learn and grow. This show is divided into 3 program modules that make up the art of communication. These include listening, expressing yourself, and resolving conflict. At the end of each module, you'll find a series of questions to help you put your skills to use at work and at home. Let's begin. The problem with this scene is a problem that comes up millions of times a day, causing countless mistakes, misunderstandings, and conflicts. It's the reason we lose customers, lose employees, and lose our tempers. So, what's the problem? Everybody's talking, but nobody's listening. Experts say we spend more time listening than reading, writing, talking, or communicating in any other way. But for all the time we spend listening, most of us don't do it very well. Really listening means that we don't just hear others, we understand them. Of course, communication is a two-way street. It's about sending and receiving messages, talking and listening. In this program, we'll look at skills for effective listening. You'll learn how to pay attention or attend to other people, how to avoid barriers to good listening, how to gather information by asking questions, and how to demonstrate your understanding of others. Let's start with a typical staff meeting. Jim, one of the managers, is about to make a big mistake.
So I told Bronson's buyer what our backlog situation is, and he said, okay, as long as they get the shipment in time to make their deadline.
Landry proposal.
But I think we've got a potential problem.
If I ever get out of this meeting,
well, even if we had
the hell
parts,
time is it
shipping
anyway?
is so backed up that we might not make it in time. So what do you think about Bronson?
Oh, Bronson and I go way back. He's a good client. You won't have anything to worry about. Don't worry. You'll be fine. What do you mean we lost the Bronson account?
I tried to tell you. I assumed you knew how serious the problem was.
What did Jim do wrong? To begin with, he wasn't attending. Let's back up and take a look. Notice Jim's body language. If the message were a baseball, could Jim catch it? Of course not. His arms are crossed, his body's turned away from Sandy. He isn't making eye contact. He's thinking about other things. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves to pay attention, to concentrate on the other person instead of our own thoughts. You might even need to remind yourself several times during the course of a conversation. Let's see what might have happened if Jim had pulled himself back into the moment.
So I told their buyer what our backlog situation is, and he said okay, as long as they get the shipment in time to make the
Wait,
deadline.
Jim. You should be listening to Sandy.
We have a potential problem here, because even if we had the parts, shipping is so backed up that we might not make it in time. I think we could lose Bronson over this.
So, what you're saying is this is really a serious situation.
That's right.
What do you think we ought to do about this?
Now, Jim is attending. He's facing Sandy, leaning forward and making eye contact. His body language is open and encouraging. Sandy knows she has his undivided attention. When you really attend to another person, they feel it right away, but they also feel it when you don't.
Hello, I'm here to see Mark.
I'll buzz him for you.
Some reception.
Jill, I need those new brochures to go out by Friday.
Mark, I'm not sure I can get through the whole mailing list by
We still
Friday.
have 3 days to get it done. Plenty of time.
He doesn't have a clue how long this will take. Plus, I have all this other stuff to do for Jim. God, I wish he'd just listen to me. Well, I'll do the best I can.
As you just saw, when people don't feel listened to, they can become upset or angry. Nobody wants this to happen. Nobody wants to be a bad listener. The problem is, reception isn't always easy. There are barriers that get in the way of understanding others. But if you know what the barriers are, it's easier to avoid them.
Mark, I'm not sure I can get through the whole mailing list by
We still
Friday.
have 3 days to get it done.
Interrupting is a surefire way of missing the message.
You won't have any problems with him. Don't worry.
And advising may seem helpful, but many people offer solutions before they've completely understood the problem.
I assumed you knew how serious the problem was.
Assumptions are especially deadly to good communication. If you don't ask, you can never be sure of what another person thinks or feels. Distractions present another kind of barrier. It's hard to pay attention to someone if you're surrounded by outside distractions like TVs, radios, and telephones. But it's also hard to listen with internal distractions getting in the way. For example, when someone's speaking, do you ever rehearse in your mind what you're going to say when it's your turn to talk?
Yeah, I got the flyer about your special offer. and it
This
sounds
month's
like a
special
great
could
deal,
really
Jane.
save him some money.
Just can't do it this month.
I'll tell him I looked over what he
It's the end of our
bought from us
fiscal year
last
and there's
quarter.
just too much going on.
You know, Donald, I've looked over what you bought from us last quarter, and I think this month's special could really save
Jane,
you.
we're just not interested.
Advising, assuming, rehearsing. One of the best ways to steer clear of these sorts of barriers is to gather more information by asking questions. But before you start asking away, you should know that not all questions are created equal. Direct questions can be answered with short, simple answers, often a yes or a no. Open questions are used to encourage the speaker to talk and share feelings. Direct questions and open questions are both good when used in the right situations. Here's an example of how direct questions help avoid mistakes and misunderstandings.
I need the order sent over to the plant.
The main plant?
No, our east side plant.
Oh, okay. East
And we need it there by Friday.
Friday, the 21st or 28th?
The 28th.
28th Friday. Okay. Let me recap this now. You need 60 cases delivered to the east side plant by Friday the 28th.
Right.
Okay. All right.
As you can see, direct questions are perfect for clarifying a statement or verifying information, for understanding who, what, where, and when. Here are some more examples of direct questions.
Is Mark expecting you?
So what you're saying is this is really a serious situation.
Regular mail or overnight?
How long will it take to update the mailing list?
We'd probably understand other people a lot better if we all asked more direct questions. But sometimes you need more than the facts. You need to know what someone is thinking or feeling. In these situations, try asking open questions.
What do you think we ought to do about this?
Well, tell me a little bit more about your needs.
How do you suggest we prioritize our work?
Notice how open questions can't be answered with yes or no. This means that you'll gather more information with open questions than direct questions. Sometimes you'll need to stop and think about how to turn a direct question into an open question.
Would you like to buy our monthly special?
With a direct question like this, it's easy for the customer to end the conversation with a simple no.
How can we help you this month?
With an open question, Laura will find out more about her customer's thoughts and needs. If you've been attending and asking questions, you'll probably start feeling like you understand the other person pretty well. When you get to this point, the next and most important step is to make sure by demonstrating understanding. To demonstrate understanding, first, listen to the facts of the situation, and then try putting the facts or content of the message into your own words. This lets you make sure you've understood correctly, and it lets the other person know that their information got across.
I am so behind. Everybody's given me so much to do. I can't catch up. It seems like I never have time to do anything well.
It sounds like you're overloaded.
Ron just restated the content of Ann's message. Sometimes, however, you'll want to go beyond the content of a message and demonstrate understanding about the feeling and meaning of a message as well. Demonstrating a deeper understanding encourages the other person to provide more information. It builds rapport and cooperation, and it diffuses any negative feelings.
It sounds like you're overloaded.
Oh, it's really getting to me.
You must be getting frustrated. I know what a perfectionist you are and how you like to do things right.
You got it.
Demonstrating understanding takes practice, especially when you respond to all three levels. These guidelines will help you get the hang of it. First, think it out. Ask yourself, what is she saying? How does she feel about it? What does it mean to her? Use your own words, keep it short, and if your response is off, try again. Let's see one more example of demonstrating understanding.
I know my sales are down, but I've been working really hard. I'm making sales calls all day long. It's so discouraging.
It sounds like you're making an effort, but you're not seeing results. It must be pretty discouraging, especially if it means your commissions are down.
Yeah, I wish I knew what I was doing wrong.
Well, what have you been focusing on?
Well, I've been pushing the monthly special, but I'm not getting anywhere.
Pushing, Jane, how much time do you spend listening to your customers? I've always found that if I'd really listen, they'd tell me what they want.
Well, I never really thought about it, but...
That sounds like a great deal, Jane, but we just can't do it this month.
I think I know what you mean. Instead of doing all the talking, I might make more sales if I did more of the listening. Excuse me, Sandy, there's a customer I want to listen to. Hello, Donald? When we talked this morning, you said you weren't doing much purchasing this month. Can you tell me a little more?
Yeah, it's the end of our quarter, and we just are finishing up. Now, we'll have some money beginning next quarter, and I could probably do something then.
I see. Well, what if I could hold the special price until next month?
That would be great. You'd have a deal.
Listening is an art, and like any art, it takes practice to get really good at it. As you get started, you'll probably notice that a little listening goes a long way. Not only will you run into fewer misunderstandings and conflicts, you'll find your relationships growing stronger. You'll be more understanding, more effective. It seems like listening is something we do for others, and it is. The fact is, when you really listen, you get a lot out of it too.
Customers are trying to call us, and we don't get the messages for hours. It's really bad.
I think you're exaggerating.
Well, I think we need more support staff. Anne's got too many lines to end.
Hold it. First things first. If we're talking about adding people, let's talk about the shipping department.
Who's talking about adding people?
Yeah, right, let's take a look at the budget.
What are these people trying to do? Are they trying to argue? Are they trying to create misunderstandings or bad feelings? Of course not. They're simply expressing their thoughts and feelings as best they can, just like you and I do every day. The real question is anybody getting through to anybody else? Communication is a two-way street. You send a message, and hopefully the other person receives the message. If they don't, it's easy to blame the other person for missing the point. But the fact is, the way you express yourself can make all the difference in the world. In this program, we'll show you how to send messages that get heard. You'll learn how to plan your message, how to understand important differences between people, how to use the power of being positive, and how to present your viewpoint. But for now, let's go back to the meeting. Anne is about to make a big mistake.
Yesterday I missed an important call and I was at my desk the entire afternoon.
Well, that's not my fault. You didn't sign in after you came back from lunch. How was I supposed to know?
Instead of organizing her viewpoint, Anne blurted out a defensive response. And what happened? Communication broke down, and nobody got heard. While it's easy to react with the first response that comes to mind, a little planning provides a much better chance for being understood.
I want to do a good job. It would really help if people were more careful about signing in and out. And let me know which are the high priority calls. Everybody's always in such a rush. How can I make them understand how important it is?
Yesterday I missed an important call and I was at my desk the entire afternoon.
I'm sorry that happened, Jane. I know it's frustrating for you. But it's frustrating on my end if I don't know where you are or which calls are the important ones. I have some suggestions that might prevent it happening in the future.
Whether you have something to say to your boss, your coworker, or your subordinate, stop and think about it first. For example, what is your goal?
To persuade.
To inform.
To communicate my expectations.
To keep expenses down.
What would you like to see happen?
To establish some sign-out procedures and stick to them.
Increase our efficiency.
To know that I've been understood.
To solve the problem without hiring a new person.
It also helps to formulate your introduction or message in your head before you actually state it. And last but not least, consider the best way to make your viewpoint understandable to the other person.
Everybody's always in such a rush. How can I make them understand how important it is?
To be understandable, we have to be aware of the differences between people. Most of us have a tendency to assume that our coworkers think like we do. But the fact is, we have different values, different experiences, different personalities. Even words can have different meanings to different people. Your listener might literally speak a different language than you do.
Hey, Ron, these boxes gotta go.
No problem.
What's wrong here? Let's look again.
Hey, Ron, these boxes gotta go.
He said to get the boxes out of the way, didn't he?
He should have shipped the boxes. Wasn't it obvious?
Gotta go means different things to different people. The way to prevent these sorts of misunderstandings is to use clear and specific language. This also means avoiding technical talk or jargon that people might not understand. And even when you've been as clear as you can be, never assume the other person has understood you. Always make sure.
Ron, you need to ship these boxes today.
You want me to ship them UPS or regular mail?
Yeah, UPS.
Okay.
If every message were a bit more clear, we'd certainly overcome some of our differences. But we can do even more. We can understand how other people like to receive messages. People can be very different in this way. For example, you might know someone who responds best to factual messages containing figures, charts, and timelines. but someone else might prefer messages that take people's feelings into account. Some people like to analyze information on their own. Others like to brainstorm with you. Jill wants to discuss a new procedure with two different people. Let's see how she phrases her message to each listener.
Jim, if you'll use these new check requisition forms, we'll benefit in 3 ways. Accounting will be more accurate, I'll be able to cut checks online, and I'll be able to show you reports like these, organized by expense category.
All right.
Jill knows that Jim responds best to organized, factual information, especially if it's on paper. She also knows that Sandy is a bit different.
Sandy, I need your help to get your department to use these new forms. I know it'll be a little extra work for everybody, but I'm sure people will be happy to get their expense reimbursements on time.
This time, Jill put her message into terms that considered the feelings and relationships involved. Perhaps you felt most comfortable with one of the approaches you just saw. In fact, you may have found the other approach a bit awkward. If so, you're showing your own preference. We all have them. And one preference isn't any better than another preference. But effective communicators do take these differences into account when they express themselves. They think about their listener and what type of expression is valid and credible to them. The next skill requires the least amount of effort, but makes a very big difference in how our messages are received. We call it the power of the positive. What would it be like if we each spent a little more time giving praise, thanks, and support? Sometimes just a simple compliment can change a person's whole day. For most of us, this skill is really just a matter of remembering to do something we already know how to do.
That's an excellent idea.
Hey, thanks for getting my order out so quickly.
That color looks nice on you.
Great presentation yesterday.
People respond to a positive attitude and resist a negative one. So by using the power of the positive, we can encourage cooperation, build confidence, and reduce stress at work. And besides having a powerful impact on the other person, a positive focus helps us feel good too.
Well, it's true.
Customers are trying to call us, and we're not getting our messages for hours. It's been really bad.
Positive communication is especially helpful when we have something negative to communicate. Experts tell us that it takes 3 positive statements to counteract the impact of 1 negative statement. Here's how it works. These are the 2 positive statements.
Anne, I know you're working hard, and you're really trying to stay on top of things.
Followed by 1 negative.
But our phone messages aren't getting through to us.
And a 3rd positive statement.
I'm sure we can find a way to fix this.
Well, Laura, I do have a suggestion.
Did you notice how Laura's positive focus helped the discussion stay on track? Being positive doesn't mean you can't be firm about what you want. And being firm about what you want doesn't mean you don't respect the concerns of others. The way to have both is to present your viewpoint with an assertive statement.
Oh, Jill, I need to have those new brochures go out by Friday.
Mark, I understand you need the brochures to go out as soon as possible, but I need to update the mailing list first.
Could you have them by Monday?
I understand, but I need. This simple 2-part statement shows you understand the other person, and it asserts your own position with an I statement. This is a short, effective formula for all sorts of business applications.
I understand that your messages are important, but I need your help.
I understand you're in a tight spot, but I need to special order that particular part.
I understand, but I need is a good, quick assertion statement. But the more complete your statement is, the better your chances of being heard. A complete statement includes your observations, thoughts, feelings, and needs. The formula for this kind of statement is, when you, I feel, because, I need.
Mark, when you come up with a new marketing plan without my input, I feel angry because I'm the one who has to get the sales force moving in a new direction. I need to be consulted about changes that affect my department.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Let's watch this scene a little more carefully.
Mark, when you come up with a new marketing plan without my input,
When you is an observation. It describes a specific behavior.
I feel angry
This is a feeling.
because I'm the one who has to get the sales force moving in a new direction.
Because explains what you think about the situation.
I need to be consulted about changes that affect my department.
The last part of the statement expresses your needs.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
When you, I feel, because, and I need. You can decide which elements are suitable for a given situation. When expressing your viewpoint, the key is always to show respect for the other person's viewpoint and to express your own position with I statements. It's also helpful to remember how your delivery affects the other person. So use a calm tone of voice. Try to speak at an even pace and keep your body language relaxed. If your tone or body language is angry and tense, the other person will feel it. On the other hand, a smooth delivery always helps your message get through. Finally, it's always a good idea to check in and make sure that the other person got your message.
So you'll check with me next time.
So you want them to go UPS?
You guys all know how to use the sign-out board, right?
Then we agree. They'll go out Monday, right?
Just checking.
Expressing yourself is the only way to get what you want from others. But it's more than that. Experts tell us that being heard makes us feel good about ourselves, our jobs, our lives. Self-expression relates directly to self-esteem. Expressing yourself is an art that can enrich and enhance your life. It takes practice, but the results are priceless.
I'll get you copies of that report this afternoon.
Great, sounds good.
Thanks for using the sign-out board.
Well, and you really got your message across.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yes? Sandy will be back at 1:30.
Listen, will someone please tell me if we can get the land proposal out by tomorrow?
No problem. I'll stay late tonight and rework the numbers.
That's just great. If you stay late, I have to stay late. This carpool arrangement isn't working out at all.
Just a minute now. This time you'd better write in a more realistic shipment date. Never give us enough time anyway.
You'll rework the numbers? I suppose you'll want the whole commission. I worked on this sale too.
I think it's much later.
If there's one thing we all run into sooner or later, it's conflict. Eventually, every one of us is going to disagree with someone. It's natural. It may even be necessary, and it's definitely inevitable. The important thing is to resolve conflict in a positive way. If you're like most people, you dread the tension that conflict can make you feel. It helps to realize that there are benefits to conflict. Conflict can prevent stagnation. It can help stimulate us, help us come up with new ideas, new ways of looking at problems, and new ways of looking at people, provided, of course, that we know how to resolve a conflict effectively. In this program, you'll learn 4 skills for resolving conflicts. You'll learn how to evaluate the situation, how to set the stage for a successful outcome, how to follow the 3 steps of basic conflict resolution, and how to negotiate. Let's start by looking at the different types of conflict. To resolve conflict, the first step is to figure out or evaluate what the tension is really about. This important skill is often overlooked by people with the best of intentions, but it's the key to finding solutions. Sometimes conflicts are due to a communication problem. For example, when job responsibilities are unclear. Other conflicts stem from opposing goals, values, or needs.
I think so. Jill, it shouldn't take me too long to get those numbers together for Jim. So is it okay if we leave a half hour late?
I guess so. This screws up my whole evening. But what else can I say?
Jill needs to be home on time. Laura needs to work late. Jill and Laura have conflicting needs.
Anne, I need to have those view graphs for the 2 o'clock meeting.
And I need those letters to go out. Are they ready for me to sign?
I haven't been able to get to your letters, Jim. I've been working on the labels for Mark's brochures.
Mark, can't the damn brochures wait? I mean, the mail goes out at 11 o'clock. It's ridiculous when I write a letter on Monday and I can't get it till Wednesday.
Right now, I could care less about the brochures. I need to have those view graphs ready.
I don't know what you expect me to do. I mean, there used to be 2 people doing this job. I can barely stay on top of the phones as it is.
Mark, Jim, and Ann have a communication problem. They need to clarify work priorities and responsibilities.
Are you shipping product in these old boxes?
Well, yeah. I didn't want to just throw them away.
But they look like hell.
Sorry.
In this scene, Ron values economy, while Bill values quality. Ron and Bill have a difference in values. What did these scenes have in common? Conflict. But the conflict was very different in each case. Evaluating requires that you step back from the situation and ask yourself what the conflict is really about. This step points you in the right direction for solving the problem. For example, if a conflict is based on differing values, both parties should work on understanding the value system that motivates the other person. If people's needs are in opposition, the goal is to come up with a solution that considers everybody's needs. Once you've evaluated the problem, you're ready to set the stage for a positive outcome. The way you approach a conflict can have a big impact on the tension level. Here are a few ideas to help you prepare for conflict. First of all, don't try to hide your feelings. You can't pretend that conflict just isn't there. Try looking at conflict as an opportunity for positive change. But do wait until things are calm to discuss the problem. If you're all steamed up, you may say something you'll regret. If you can, try to agree on some ground rules for your discussion. This will help you stick to the topic. You may not be able to set the stage in every situation, but it's good to be aware of what you can do to help things turn out well. For many people, it's hard to bring things up, but your needs aren't going to be met if you never say anything. For example, Jill realizes that avoiding the problem is not going to help matters.
This is driving me nuts. I've got to tell her how I feel. Laura, I'd like to talk to you about our carpool arrangements. Can you meet me in the conference room? Great.
You can always ask the other person when it's a good time to talk.
Hey, Bill. I was wondering if we could talk about those used boxes sometime.
Yeah, pull up a chair. Right now would be a good time. What's on your mind?
You can suggest methods for discussing the problem.
Guys, when it comes to marketing, you're full of great ideas. How about if we spend some time brainstorming how to prioritize our work situation?
Good plan.
In the rest of this program, we'll show you some of the best methods for resolving conflicts to everyone's satisfaction. Most conflict has a strong emotional aspect. This is the reason that conflict can be so stressful for us. Basic conflict resolution deals with feelings first. In many situations, getting emotions out in the open may clear up the entire conflict. Begin by treating the other person with respect. Listen until you've understood the other person's point of view. And then, when you're sure you've understood the other person, express your views, feelings, and needs. These 3 steps sound simple, but you'll be surprised at how well they work to increase understanding and relieve tension. Even more important is the fact that when these guidelines aren't followed, conflicts tend to escalate.
I know it's your territory. But when you were out last week, I put a lot of time into that sale for you. I should get something out of it.
You know how it is. It's my territory and my sale.
I don't care whose territory it is. I worked hard for you, and it isn't fair.
The next time you're in a tense situation, stop and look at the conflict from the other person's point of view. It can make a big difference.
I know it's your territory. But when you were out last week, I put a lot of time into that sale for you. I should get something out of it.
She's always helping out with other people's clients. She must feel like no one appreciates her. So what do you think would be fair?
I'd feel good if we split the commission. You get 80%, I get 20%. It's mostly the principle of the thing.
Does this deal work both ways?
Jane felt she deserved recognition for her efforts. Once Laura understood Jane's point of view, the two of them easily worked out a solution. It's important to make sure you understand the other side. If you don't, the conflict may escalate again. The best way to be certain is simply to ask questions.
So by reusing those boxes, you're thinking we can reduce waste?
Yeah. I think we can do more recycling.
So you're concerned about our commitment to recycling
Yeah.
also? Good, good.
Now that he understands Ron's position, it's Bill's turn to state his viewpoint. For some of us, this is the hardest part. Here are some pointers to help out. Use I statements. Try to be brief. Tell the other person how you feel. And keep your voice calm and even.
Well, Ron, I admire your initiative and your reasons for recycling boxes. But you see, the quality of our packaging says a lot about our products. I don't want customers to receive beat-up old boxes. I feel like it makes us look bad.
Well, how about if I reuse the ones that still look good? I mean, a lot of them are in perfect condition.
Good, good.
As you've seen, basic conflict resolution skills are always helpful, but they're not always enough. When you and another person have a conflict of interest, you may need to try a collaborative problem-solving process called negotiating.
Laura, we have to leave on time.
But I already said I'd stay late. Besides, you said okay.
Well, maybe we should quit carpooling.
What are Laura and Jill doing wrong? They're arguing about what to do instead of talking about their needs. With an approach like this, one person wins and one person loses. The goal of negotiation is for everyone to win. And the first step is to focus on needs. Be clear about them. Get them out on the table.
Jill, why do you need to leave right at 5?
I need to pick my son up at daycare.
Oh.
All right. I need my high priority items done the same day. Other jobs can wait.
Same here.
Well, then I need to know which jobs have priority status. Am I supposed to read your minds or something?
During negotiation, it helps to write down the needs of both sides. In the next step, you'll come up with a list of possible solutions that cover as many needs as possible.
I like
Is
that
there room on
idea.
your desk area for 3 more inboxes?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
I don't think
Brainstorming is a process where you think of as many solutions as you can, even crazy ones. At this point, don't reject any of the solutions. The idea is to come up with as many options as possible for meeting everybody's needs. Once you've come up with as many possibilities as you can think of, look at your list. Together with the other person, choose the solution that best satisfies both of you.
Since what I really need is a ride home, I'll see if I can catch a ride with Mark.
Yeah, and that way I can get to daycare on time.
But I do want to keep carpooling, don't you?
Yeah, it's a lot easier. We just needed a backup plan for days like today.
So, nobody has time for daily meetings.
And mind reading is definitely out.
So it seems color coding is our best idea.
Important, urgent, and red hot super urgent.
Well, I suggest we check back in 2 weeks and see how the new system is working out.
Agreed.
Agreed.
To review, the steps of negotiation are: define the problem in terms of needs, brainstorm possible solutions, and then choose a solution together. It's also important to check back in and make sure that your negotiated solution is working. Resolving conflict is an art, and like any art, it takes practice to get good at it. The 4 skills outlined in this program will help you start using conflict in a positive way. You'll be able to reduce tension at work, and you may end up feeling closer to the people you work with. But most importantly, when you deal with conflict, you can get your needs met. Conflict can't always be avoided, but when it's handled right, everyone wins.
How are things going, Ann?
A month ago, this job was making me crazy. Now, I feel on top of things again. Things really can get better.
When you take up a sport like golf or tennis, you develop habits. If you're coached well and you practice properly, you get good at your game. It's that way with communication. You not only have to learn the right habits, you've got to practice. Fortunately, life provides you with plenty of opportunities to listen more effectively, to express yourself, and to resolve conflict. And like the well-placed shot in sports, there's an immediate payoff too. When you communicate well, you feel better, more in control, less stressed, more supported in all you do. Others take you seriously, understand what you need, want, and mean, and respect you for your efforts. With practice, your skills improve. the game gets to be more enjoyable, and best of all, everyone wins.